top Pentagon official, Harvard scientist, and the Catholic Church. Aliens may already live among us. UAP disclosure is far beyond a conspiracy. Hey everybody, Rex Bear Leak Project, how the heck are you? Buckle up, Buttercup, this is going to be a fun ride. So I've got information directly from a high-level Pentagon official, a Harvard professor, and now I'm looking at an article directly from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Angels or aliens? Some researchers say that the Vatican Archives hold UFO secrets. Several days ago, I did a report on this. There's an article that came out from like Newsweek, and the article was titled, "Aliens May Already Live on Earth, Harvard Researchers Say." Then I pulled up the white paper, I got the PDF, and I'm glad I did because the PDF is not available anymore, ResearchGate, but it's now available using the Internet Archive. Did you know that about 34 million households are having a tough time paying their electrical bills? And the electrical companies have increased their prices about 30% over the past decade in many cities. And you can actually save money on your electrical bill. It's pretty easy. You should order one of these. There's even a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. It's 65% off, and it's don'twastepower.com. I got mine a few months ago, plugged it into the breaker box. The green light turns on when you plug it in. It takes a little while for the energy and the electricity to stabilize. It cuts down on dirty electricity. And go to don'twastepower.com. You can read the reviews yourself. Save 65%, save money on your electric bill, and let's get back to the presentation. Goddamn. Yeah, and the name of the paper, The Crypto-Terrestrial Hypothesis, a case for scientific openness to a concealed earthly explanation for unidentified anomalous phenomena. It's quite the mouthful. Great research paper. I would highly suggest you read it yourself in full. It's a pretty quick read, and they outline several different scenarios about these UAPs. Could they be from extraterrestrials? Could they be from crypto-terrestrials? Interdimensionals, people from a highly advanced civilization here on Earth that basically broke away. They survived during major cataclysms while most civilizations had to reset and start over. Well, they continued to thrive and they continued to improve upon their technological achievements. So, I mean, all of the possibilities are definitely, in my eyes, very plausible. I don't think it's one or the other. I would say most likely all of the above. But what's even more fascinating is now these articles via the Vatican. The Vatican releases this new update about paranormal activity, and it seems to have a lot of red tape and a lot of additional verbiage. First, I want to share this with you from the USCCB. Angels or aliens? So you get into this article, the interest in the Vatican's holdings extends beyond the realm of scholars of religion. Scientists like Gary Nolan, a professor of medicine at Stanford University, view the Vatican Archives as a potential treasure trove for understanding UFOs. The Vatican is probably the oldest library system of paranormal or supernatural knowledge still extant. Nolan said the archive has an aura of both mysticism and a feeling of deep truth, that if you just know how to read it, you can pull that information out. Nolan believes that if an advanced species is showing up on Earth, it means it might be possible for humans to survive threats such as climate change, energy crisis, and war. The very fact that we think we see something, to me, is hope, Nolan said of UFO sightings. It says something has made it past the cliff, past the decision point that we feel we are on the edge of right now. Nolan, the co-founder of the Soul Foundation in 2023 to spearhead scientific research into UFOs, now called UAPs or unidentified anomalous phenomena, and to initiate dialogue with religious institutions like the Vatican about the spiritual implications of discovering alien life. Now, the foundation is confident there's at least some UFOs that are genuine, as well as non-human origin. Consequently, one of its primary objects has been to initiate an interfaith dialogue to assess the potential impact on world religions. So Father Francis Tiso, an expert on interreligious dialogue, said he discussed a plan to conduct paranormal research in the Vatican Archives with the founder of the Esalen Institute over 20 years ago. Now, the Esalen is a retreat center in California Listen to this. This is very interesting. Known for its progressive nanu and countercultural influence, particularly during the 1960s and 70s, it continues to play a significant cultural role in the United States by attracting Silicon Valley technologists, spiritual leaders, and innovators to explore new ideas in psychology, spirituality, and personal growth. Wasn't aware of that until now. Father Tiso said that Michael Murphy, Essalon's co-founder, told him that someone should go to the Vatican Archives, do research, examine the documentation, and try to classify it in ways that would be accessible to the scientific community. It's a great idea. Studying miracles attributed to the intercession of saints as possible paranormal activity, Father Tiso said, could help build another bridge in the direction of paranormal phenomena connected with the idea of the UFO narrative, that somehow we human beings are in some way in contact with other civilizations, other conscious beings in the universe. The whole gamut of religious phenomena appears in the abduction or the encounter experience, Kriepel said. Jeffrey Kriepel is a member of the board at Esalen, professor of religion at Rice University in Houston, and he said that the stories of Catholic miracles are of interest to UFO researchers because telepathic communication, levitation, and other paranormal events often coincide with close encounters. Now, I'm going to pause for a moment. I have several friends that have very similar testimonies about their experiences with non-human intelligence. One person in particular that I'm thinking of, very intelligent, has worked with multiple defense contractors and defense systems, and he genuinely, you can see like the look on his face, he gets frightened when he talks about it. And experiences of not only telepathy, communication via mind, but also levitation. And these beings appear to come in and out of existence like at a vibratorial state. And I think that a lot of these paranormal experiences that were written about in certain scriptures could very well be the exact same experience. Now, whether or not these are extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, as some people refer to as demons or specific entities, you could probably classify them as all of those things, but are they any of those things is the question. Very interesting. And then in the article that was released recently via Harvard University that was taken off of ResearchGate, in that article, I'm going to show you in the PDF, it describes these craft that can not only move in and out of water extremely fast, faster than anything that we have access to, at least publicly, as well as the movements in the air and into space, as well as into volcanoes, in and out of rocks and solid objects, which you could also correlate to some of these experiences that my friends and family members have had with these encounters of non-human beings. Now, is it a technology that gets them to that point? Are they using a technology to get them to go through these walls and to take them into these, what we might refer to as different dimensions? Or is it natural in a sense? To me, it seems like technology. Now, maybe their biology is somehow incorporated with the technology or able to work with the technology so that it can move in and out of these rooms and appears to have levitation and telepathy, etc. But it's very fascinating. And then, like, you probably missed this article. This is a alien mothership lurking in our solar system could be watching us with tiny probes. And this is from a high-level Pentagon official as well as a Harvard scientist. I don't know if you saw this article. It actually came out last year. And the paper, Department of Defense official, floats the idea that an alien mothership is cruising our solar system. Could an alien mothership be hovering around the solar system, sending out tiny probes to explore planets? According to a Harvard scientist and a Pentagon official, it's possible. The draft paper said it is feasible an extraterrestrial spaceship could be in our galactic neighborhood, exploring the region by the means of dandelion seeds, small spacecraft that gathers and sends back information, similar to the way humans send out spacecraft to explore planets. A.V. Loeb, an astronomer at Harvard University, and Sean M. Kirkpatrick, director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Research Office, AARO, established in July of 22, by the Department of Defense to detect and study objects of interest released the draft Physical Constraints on Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. This was released March 7th. It's not an official Pentagon document, but was carried out in partnership with the Department of Defense, and it has not been peer-reviewed, which makes me like it even more. Let's take a look at this paper real quick, shall we? Physical Constraints on Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Avi Loeb and Sean Kirkpatrick. We derive physical constraints on interpretations of highly maneuverable unidentified aerial phenomena based on standard physics and known forms of matter and radiation. In particular, we show that the friction of UAP with the surrounding air or water is expected to generate a bright optical fireball. Ionization shell and tail, implying radio signatures. The fireball luminosity scales with infrared distance to the fifth power. Radar cross-section scales similarly to meteor head echoes as the square of the effective radius of the sphere surrounding the object, while the radar cross-section of the resulting ionization tail scales linearly with the radius of the ionization cylinder. The lack of all these signatures can imply inaccurate distance measurements and hence derived velocity for single-site sensors without a range gate capability. Huh? Okay, so in 2005, the Congress tasked NASA to find 90% of all near-Earth objects that are larger than 140 meters. The congressional task resulted in the construction of the Pan-STARRS telescopes. On October 19, 2017, the Pan-STARRS Sky Survey flagged an unusual near-Earth object, the interstellar object Oumuamua. Unlike solar system asteroids or comets, Oumuamua appeared to have an extreme flat shape and was pushed away from the sun without showing a cometary tail of gas and dust, raising the possibility that it was thin and artificial in origin. Yeah, that doesn't look like the space turd that they have an artist rendition of floating in space that they title Oumuamua, which means scout, by the way. They knew they picked up something, and that's what this paper is. This paper is unofficial disclosure. That's why it is a draft under review and doesn't have peer review because it's disclosure without disclosure, unofficial disclosure. Yet look at the people that are putting this together. You've got one of the top members of AARO and the Department of Defense. You think they just got together and like lit one up and they're like, hey, man, give me another one of those brownies. Those are amazing. Do you think we should come up with something to give the public? Oh, yeah, let's talk about extraterrestrials and UAPs, man. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, that's clearly how people in the Department of Defense talk. Probably not. I'm being sarcastic. So they pick up Oumuamua. And then listen to this. March 9th, 2017, 6 months before Oumuamua's closest approach to Earth, a meter-sized interstellar meteor collided with Earth. What? Now, this is interesting. I wonder if this is one of those probes that they're talking about. Surprisingly, the IM-2 had an identical speed relative to the sun at large distances and an identical heliocentric semi-major axis as Oumuamua had. But the inclination of IM-2's orbital plane around the sun was completely different from Oumuamua's, implying that the two objects are unrelated. Nevertheless, the coincidences between some orbital parameters of Oumuamua and IM-2 inspires us to consider the possibility that an artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA missions. These dandelion seeds could be separated from the parent craft by the tidal gravitational force of the sun or by a maneuvering capability. A small ejection speed far away could lead to a large deviation from the trajectory of the parent craft near the sun. The changes would manifest both in arrival time and distance of closest approach to Earth. With proper design, these tiny probes would reach the Earth or other solar system planets for exploration as the parent craft passes by within a fraction of the Earth-Sun separation, just like Oumuamua did. Astronomers would not be able to notice the spray of many probes because they do not reflect enough sunlight for existing survey telescopes to notice them. If they are on the 10 centimeter scale of CubeSats or smaller, well below the detection threshold of even the James Webb Space Telescope. In contrast, the radar signatures of a meter-class object would be detectable with our deep space radars and space vents, much like IM-2 was, out to beyond geosynchronous orbit at an altitude above 36,000 kilometers. Such objects could also become optically detectable as they get close to Earth, especially if they create a fireball as a result of their friction with air. Equipped with a large surface to mass ratio of a parachute, technological dandelion seeds could slow down in the Earth's atmosphere to avoid burnup and then pursue their objectives whether they land. Current radar coverage of the majority of first world countries gives the detectability of this high area to mass objects down to a few centimeters, depending on material, making detectability possible. Wow. Isn't this right around? Okay, so I think I just had an wow. Space Force. When was that UAP released? First UAP footage before Space Force. It got popular. What was that? On December 16th, 2017, the New York Times reported on the incidents and published two videos termed FLIR and Gimbal. That's the FLIR from the thermal, reporting to show encounters by jets from the Nimitz and Theodore Roosevelt with unusually shaped, fast-moving aircraft. Additionally, the Washington Post published a video of a similar encounter titled Go Fast. Christopher Mellon, the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, around the same time, Luis Elizondo, Director of Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, had resigned from the Pentagon in October 2017 to protest government secrecy and opposition to the investigation, stating in a resignation letter to the Defense Secretary James Mattis that the program was not being taken seriously. According to Wired magazine, a copy of one of the videos had been online in a UFO forum since 2007. September 2019, Susan Gao, a Pentagon spokeswoman, confirmed that the released videos were made by naval aviators and that they're a part of a larger issue of an increased number of training range incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena in recent years. The Pentagon officially released 3 videos April 27th, 2020. Okay, so this is what I find interesting. The date here, right? December 16th, 2017, they published the 2 videos, and then let's go back to this. Yep, October 19th, 2017 is when they flagged that bizarre, well, it's when they flag Oumuamua. So they pick up Oumuamua October 2017. And then look at this. 2 months later, the New York Times, UFO UAPs. 6 months before Oumuamua, this bizarre mini UAP crash lands Earth. And that's probably what Avi Loeb was looking for in the ocean. And then there was an article that came out, like when they think they found something, an article comes out later and says something along the lines of like, I'll look it up in a minute, but they basically were debunking it in the papers, saying that, or not even debunking it, but just kind of putting that out of the mind. Like, well, it could be something different. It could be swamp gas from Uranus. And it just somehow got into the ocean. And then, at first they thought they were alien craft parts, but then it went from alien craft parts to swamp gas from Uranus. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, it's just ridiculous. So now I'm starting to put the pieces together here. They discover these probes, these mini probes landing to Earth. Then they see Oumuamua. Then they release information from another high-level official, Haim Eshed, saying that we're working with non-human intelligence, very high-level, highly intelligent, highly advanced beings, and sounds to me kind of like a breakaway civilization on Mars. And then later, like, oh no, well, I mean, he was saying that, but do we know it's true? It's like it's how disclosure works. They're never going to give you official disclosure until they do. And I'm wondering if the reason that all of this seems to be happening within this time frame after Oumuamua is because maybe they made contact and maybe they made an agreement that, okay, yep, we need to somehow disclose this to the people so that if these beings make themselves known, that it's not just going to completely freak out the world and it's not going to create all these new religions and ideas. And, I mean, this could get real shady really fast if beings come out, or people, or let's call them people. They show up, they kind of look like us, but they're far more advanced and they have technologies that are far more advanced and they can do things that to us look like supernatural, maybe. Imagine how easy it would be to control the masses by saying that you're, or maybe they were here in the past and they're coming back. I mean, there's so many scenarios. I don't know. But it seems to me like this Oumuamua, and the way that they describe it in this paper, it doesn't sound like a flying space turret. It sounds like a craft, a thin craft, artificially made. Maybe they didn't even make contact with these beings, but they were able to capture some technology, and then they realized that they're coming. They're on their way. And they're going to attempt to establish possibly hegemony. Like, hey, look, maybe there is some truth to Independence Day. I don't know. I mean, what if? What if they're from Earth and they took a long vacation? Now they're coming back. So this is their probe to check and see what it's like on Earth. And they could say they're from anywhere. They could say that they're from any space system or star system. And can we verify? Maybe this is a civilization that we made contact with. And then we get that wow signal. Maybe there's some connection there. There's just too many maybes, but clearly there's something going on, highly advanced, that super high level officials are coming out right now and saying, look, we have the potential for a mothership in our solar system that is releasing probes that are very difficult to detect, to observe us. This is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. Nevertheless, the coincidences between some orbital parameters of Oumuamua and the IM-2 inspires us to consider the possibility that an artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA missions. These dandelion seeds could be separated from the parent craft by the tidal gravitational force of the sun or by a maneuvering capability. A small ejection speed far away could lead to a large deviation from the trajectory of the parent craft near the sun. The changes would manifest both in arrival time and distance of closest approach to Earth. With proper design, these tiny probes would reach the Earth or other solar system planets for exploration as the parent craft passes by within a fraction of the Earth-Sun separation, just like Oumuamua did. Equipped with a large surface to mass ratio of a parachute, technological dandelion seeds could slow down in the Earth's atmosphere to avoid burnup and then pursue their objectives wherever they land. Current radar coverage of a majority of first world countries gives detectability of this high area to mass object down to a few centimeters, depending on material, making detectability possible. Looks like the technology to charge the batteries within a close range to a star, ET technology probes could use starlight to charge their batteries and liquid water as their fuel. This would explain why they would target the habitable region around stars where liquid water may exist on the surface of rocky planets with an atmosphere like the Earth. Habitable planets would be particularly appealing to trans-medium probes capable of moving between space, air, and water, like what we are seeing in some of these videos. From a large distance, Venus, Earth, or Mars would be equally attractive for probes, but upon closer inspection, Earth would have spectral signatures of liquid water and vegetation that might attract selective attention, as well as us calling out anybody in the universe like, hey, we're here, man, check us out. Yeah, come on over. So the probes could basically propagate the blueprint of their senders. Similar to biological seeds, the raw materials on the planet's surface could also be used by them as nutrients for self-replication, scientific exploration. Then they're going on to say that based on the propulsion scheme discussed, it is unreasonable to assert that the intention of any such probe launched in the far distant past has anything to do with the human species. More likely, to NASA missions, the goal would be scientific and exploratory in nature. However, we're still communicating with the Viking orbiter that was sent out in 77. So would whoever sent this out however long ago not be communicating with them also if they're still around? Yep, this is it right here. This is what I was thinking. This is why the first interstellar meteor confirmed by velocity measurement of the U.S. Space Command is the target of a fully funded ocean expedition by the Galileo project. Hopefully, by retrieving IM-1's fragments within the coming year, we will know whether its extraordinary material strength resulted from it being made out of an artificial alloy like stainless steel or materials not yet developed by humans. Ah. Are there any functioning extraterrestrial probes near Earth? We do not know, but the Galileo project intends to use the scientific method to explore this possibility following the 2021 report about unidentified aerial phenomena. The UAP from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to the U.S. Congress, ODIN 2021, ODN 2021. The state-of-the-art suite of instruments and computer algorithms of the Galileo project will be able to study such data in the near future. The academic interest in UAP stems from their potential non-human technological origin. This is the extraterrestrial possibility. Extraterrestrial equipment could arrive in two forms: space trash, similar to the way our own interstellar probes will appear in a billion years, or functional equipment, such as autonomous devices equipped with artificial intelligence, electronic probes employing conventional chemical propulsion and refueling that we currently understand would be a likely choice for travel within a planetary system. Some combination of conventional propulsion, ion propulsion, or light cell propulsion could also provide good choices for crossing the tens of thousands of light years that span the scale of the Milky Way galaxy. Do you think, billions of galaxies and billions of light years across each galaxy. It's so amazing. As argued by John von Neumann in 1939, the number of such devices could increase exponentially within time if they self-replicate. A quality-enabled 3D printing and AI technology device could do such things. Physical artifacts might also carry messages as envisioned by Ronald Bracewell in 1960 and currently used by NASA. Then it goes on to talk about propulsion methods, optical emissions, other observable signatures, constraints on UAPs. The conclusion. The considerations in this paper imply a useful limit on observations of UAP which bound the hypothetical explanations and can support limitations on interpretations of data. For example, one of the most common sets of data within the military holdings comes from FLIR pods. These sensors provide an accurate, resolved image of relative thermal measurements across the scene. Typical UAP sightings are too far away to get a highly resolved image of the object, and determination of the object's motion is limited by the lack of range data. The range is usually estimated using the flight dynamics of the platform and some fixed points in the scene. The error in estimating the range gives rise to a significant variation in the calculated velocity and is subject to human bias and error. Claims of objects exceeding the transonic The supersonic range should be evaluated against the above known physics of ionization, radar, reflectivity, temperature, sonic booms, fireballs, all of which can more effectively and accurately bound the velocity and hence drive the range calculation. This will in turn, when matched with the specifics of the sensor, allow for better estimates of the size, shape, and mass of the object in question. Acknowledgements. This work was supported in part by the Galileo Project at Harvard University and conducted in partnership with the Department of Defense, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. We thank Richard Loeb for assistance and comments on the manuscript. Wow. Physical constraints on unidentified aerial phenomena by some of the top researchers on the planet. Amazing. And then, Newsweek.com, alien life, probably already on Earth, according to Harvard study, which was taken down pretty quick on ResearchGate. The study suggests an unconventional explanation for UAPs. The paper from Harvard University's Human Flourishing Program. The paper has been taken down from ResearchGate since Newsweek published the article, but it is still accessible using the Internet Archives. So the UAP phenomenon cannot be immediately identified or explained by known human-made or natural sources. The authors point out that the UAP represents, or the A in UAP represents anomalous in their study rather than aerial, as is commonly the case, because some UAP are not only airborne, but travel underwater. They also travel in volcanoes. I just saw in Mexico, there was this Tic Tac that just shoots right out of the volcano. You can see it clear as day. Boom! That's one of hundreds of videos that have captured these things shooting in and out of volcanoes and underwater. And then they'll go underwater, they'll come out of the water, then they'll be out into space. The UAP have been reported in various forms: spheres, disks, triangles, other shapes, ranging in size from small orbs to large craft, like the Mothership that could be hiding in our solar system. Many exhibit flight patterns and maneuvers that defy conventional aerodynamics: sudden changes in direction, high speeds, the ability to hover without apparent propulsion systems. Then people attempt to, or they communicate with people telepathically. Sometimes the craft themselves telepathically communicate with people. It's very interesting. And some of the interviews that I've done through the years, there's been several people that I've talked to that you can tell something happened to them. And it's remarkable now that this information is as being presented at the forefront. We have very high level officials talking about this kind of stuff, and it seems like ridiculed more now by the public than it was before, when these high level officials didn't have as much presence in the media. And I think there's several reasons for that we can get into in future podcasts. 510 UAP sightings in 2022 alone. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Jump on over to our Patreon page after this. Make sure to hit the bell for all notifications. Check back daily, just because for whatever reason, a lot of people don't get notifications anyway, even if they hit the bell like every day. So I don't know. Weird, but whatever. And thank you so much for being awesome, and be the change the world needs to see.
We come in peace. We come in peace.